Well, here we are. I would say today's the day, but I think Saturday, November the 19th, was the day where Misfits Series 3 finally took place. I've been talking about it on this channel for as long as this channel's been up, and it finally happened. This was the running order: 7 fights, some amazing performances, incredible fights, and crazy comebacks, crazy knockouts that really surprised the fuck out of me. Um, I mean, we'll talk about it near the end, but right now we gotta talk about the card, what happened, review it, who won, and take a little peek into what's next. So, and also we're gonna talk about my predictions, whether they were right or wrong. And first, we're gonna look at the first fighter of the night, Minicon. He was the winner by fourth round disqualification, I think it was. Yeah. Malcolm Minicon defeats Nick Joseph Nick Knack Paddywhack by disqualification at round 4. It was, according to the referee, it was disqualification by holding, because he kept holding Minicon down and stuff. I don't understand like the reason for that. It shouldn't really have been a disqualification. They took a point. It was close, right? The fight was close leading into the fourth. Then the referee took 1 point off of Nick Joseph. I forgot why. I think it was either holding or it was stalling or I don't know, something like that. But they took a point off of him. And then after that, it was evident like, oh, okay, now Minicon's gonna have that easy edge. He needs to win the fight. And then they disqualified Nick Joseph anyways, and Minicon got the win. Now, talking about the fight itself was pretty slow. I mean, there were somewhat big moments for both fighters. I thought Minicon was going to get that finish early because I didn't know really what Nick Joseph was about. But as we saw, Nick Joseph is a pretty durable guy. Not the most stamina, obviously, but because Minicon was easy to outwork him in the stamina department, but Minicon was able to get that win. Now, there were a few times where Minicon was in some sort of trouble, where he would get rocked with big shots, but he would still come back afterwards. And obviously, it was the expected outcome for Minicon to win. And while Minicon does have good heart, I'm starting to think maybe I was wrong about his entire skill as of right now. That video I made, why not Minicon for the title? Even though I still do think he should have fought for the title instead of Chase Demore, and we're gonna get into that. But Minicon is not as good as I thought he was. He's good, but he's not as good. But another thing, he can be better. He has the potential to reach great heights. He has potential to beat Josh Bruckner, even though it'll take a lot of training. He could get it done. But as of this fight, he's not where he needs to be right now. And I think with the right training, I mean, he trains in the same gym with Kevin Holland. And Kevin Holland is a pretty decent fighter, so I think if he just puts in that work, he has the right people around him. But if he just pushes himself a little bit further and improves, constantly gets better in all his fights, which we've seen improvements in his fights, in all of them so far, I think he could get it done and he can win that title. Now we're going to go on to the next fight. Ice Poseidon versus Brandon Buckingham, and Brandon Buckingham was the winner. And as you all know, I decided to be stupid and take that risk to go for Ice Poseidon by decision. And that completely takes away my perfect record. Even if I did it as a gamble, not really thinking, I don't know, maybe he wouldn't get it done, I still took that gamble for the meme, and I lost. Hey, it is what it is. A loss is a loss. And I mean, I had Ice Poseidon by decision, but Brandon Buckingham was able to get it done by TKO in the first round. Now, first thing to talk about, Ice Poseidon has a chin. Let me tell you, Brandon Buckingham was hitting him with bombs, power shots, fully loaded in, just huge punches. Ice Poseidon did not go down, and he only got somewhat rocked. Obviously, he would get backed into these corners and he would like run away, but he never got knocked down. He didn't get knocked out cold either. He kind of took these shots to the chin. So, I mean, you got to give him props for that because that's pretty impressive to take all those big shots. I think if Ice Poseidon were to get a little bit more proper training, he could do decent against more of these guys. Hold on. If I pull up the light heavyweight rankings right now, I have Ice Poseidon last place. But if he were to go down in weight and maybe go up against some of these less experienced guys, he could find some success. But as of Brandon Buckingham, I think it's possible that he could be the next big thing. He didn't show the utmost skill in his fight, but another thing was Brandon Buckingham, I knew he was a wrestler, but I didn't know he was a Muay Thai guy. And as a Muay Thai guy, come on. Why did nobody tell me this? Nobody told me this guy was a Muay Thai guy. And I saw it in his shorts, the Muay Thai shorts, but I thought it was just a style. No, this guy has competed in Muay Thai before, and I had no idea. I would have put my house on Brandon Buckingham if I knew he was a Muay Thai guy. I would have put it all on Brandon Buckingham. But I guess it is what it is. Brandon Buckingham in the light heavyweight rankings for me right now, he's number 5. He's under Face Temper and above Blueface in my rankings right now. So I don't know, Brandon Buckingham versus Blueface or versus even Ryan Taylor. I think Buckingham versus Ryan Taylor is a good fight to make. But is he the next big thing? I think he could be. I think he genuinely could be the Banana Man. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to talk about this fight. I mean, there was one other thing that I found interesting. This could be the karma for Ice Poseidon about, y'all remember the crypto scam from like a year ago? Apparently he took $500K from a crypto scam and then he bought a Tesla for it. Then he showed no remorse for it. And this might be just the karma for that. I guess someone had a plan for Ice Poseidon. This is the plan. Does he return to fighting? Who knows? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't think he does. With Brandon Buckingham, I think he could return if he gets the right opponents offered to him. So we'll see. And also there was this thing Ice Poseidon posted on Twitter. It's like, everybody who retweets this tweet, I'll give them $100. Each person retweets the tweet if Brandon Buckingham knocks him out. Obviously, Brandon knocked him out, and I checked the tweet before the fight. It was like, oh yeah, he did post it. I forgot he posted this. And there was like maybe 2,000, 3,000 retweets, right? It's like, damn, he better not lose then. The fight happened, and then I checked maybe a few hours later. The poll had like, or it wasn't a poll, it was a tweet. The tweet had like 4,600 retweets. That's 4,600 retweets. It doubled after he lost. And then he deleted the tweet and he pretended like it didn't happen. So it is what it is. I didn't get my money. But, you know, at least Brandon Buckingham got his money. So we're going to move on to the next fight. Face Temper versus Overt Flow. And Face Temper won spectacularly by, well, you guys got the sneak peek. Spectacularly by knockout. And my thoughts before this fight, my thoughts going into this fight was Temper had no power. Not no power, but he had limited power. He was able to wobble Slim a few times, but he doesn't have really that those follow-up punches in him. And because of that, most of his opponents are able to get away and either get a controversial decision with after, or they're able to knock him out after they back him into a corner and get him to do a mistake. So in this fight, this is Temper's third fight. It was against Overt Flow. This was a good matchup. But the thing was, They both stepped in on like under a week's notice, probably. That's why Temper weighed in like 10 pounds, 15 pounds heavier than he usually fights at. He was even heavier than Overflow, who was, I mean, he wasn't in the best shape in that fight either. But Face Temper got that win 30 seconds into it. A lot of people say it was a jab, but it wasn't really a jab. If I could like get into his position, he was a southpaw. He was in the southpaw stance, and then he did a jab. So what Overflow did? Let me backtrack. Overflow did like a 1-2 that miss with that overextension, and then while he was in that extended spot, Face Temper in his southpaw stance was able to jab, and then come back with the cleanest right hand on the chin. Top 3 cleanest right hands on the chin I've ever seen in crossover boxing. It landed right on the button, set Overflow right down. I mean, you could see it. He didn't know where he was. He was completely stunned after that punch. He didn't know what just hit him. Then he got up and he was all wobbly. He couldn't even get up like properly. The referee had to wave it off just 30 seconds in after a jab and a straight left. A lot of people thought it was a jab, but that was because he did the straight left and then went into an orthodox stance like right after that. So, I mean, incredible knockout. Overflow is a jiu-jitsu guy. I think he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. But obviously, jiu-jitsu won't win you a boxing fight. It could very much win you an MMA fight, but it could not win you a boxing fight, really. And, I mean, Face Temper completely proved me wrong. He showed me that he has the ability to knock someone out. He has the ability to make a comeback, even in under a week's notice. He has that heart, and he, even after that knockout loss, he will still compete in crossover boxing. And Temper gets my respect for that. Temper gets my utmost respect for this. And obviously, here's the thing. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I want Overflow to return as well. Let me check my cruiserweight rankings. Hold up. I have Overflow at number 12. The people surrounding him are Andy Worski, Swarms, Ashley Raksu. And I think if he went up against these guys, he'd have a fair shot. I think what he needs is just that more experience. He needs to fight guys his level. That's the thing. Overflow has fought Face Temper and Face Sensei as his only 2 opponents. That's a crazy resume. Those are some good fighters in the crossover boxing scene. But when those are your only 2 fights and you've lost to knockout by both of them, it just gives you that message that you need to start fighting guys at your skill level. Like Swarms, like Andy Worski, or maybe even like Ashley Raksu. He just needs to build his way back up. I don't know if he's going to want to do that. Maybe if the money's right. Maybe if he really just wants to come back. Which he showed interest in coming back for a while now. And then he lost this fight by knockout in the first round. Is that going to kill his confidence and his drive to want to come back again? Who knows? But all I know is that Face Temper proved me wrong. He shot all the way back up in the rankings. He's entered top 5 in cruiserweight. And he's making a name for himself in light heavyweight as well. We'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. And yeah, we're going to talk about the next fight. Another shocker for me. And still, the Cruiserweight International Champion, King Kenny, won by first round knockout. I thought it would be more of a middle round knockout, like Kenny would feel him out and then knock him out. But Kenny proved me wrong and knocked him out in the first round, and it was not much of a challenge either. I had hope for DK Money. I truly did. I thought he was maybe going to put up more of a fight. But I guess not. King Kenny takes the win by first round knockout. He proved me wrong too. Here's the thing. With Temper, I always thought he had some power. I always thought he had some ability. And I didn't know if he was going to bring it out or not. I thought not because of... I thought it would be somewhat of a closer fight with the pressure being put on him. And since it was short notice. But here's the thing with Kenny. I thought he had little to no power. I thought his power was just non-existent. He didn't have any huge moments against faced Temper. He didn't have any crazy moments against face Sensei. So I thought with this one, I thought it's possible to knock him out. But I was unsure about my KO pick. I thought it was very possible that he goes to a decision win for this one. But, I mean, can he prove me wrong? He got that... he got that first round knockout. And it surprised me. Like, crazy. It shocked me. Because you should have seen DK Money on the floor. I mean, he was, like, completely defeated. He didn't want to get up. And you could tell what was going through his mind. Like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to get up? Do I really want to keep fighting? Obviously, he got up, but the referee waved it off. So, I mean, King Kenny also, with this fight, he really erased that narrative of him rigging fights. You know, everybody thought that face Temper fight, he didn't win that. Or the face Sensei fight, that was rigged, and he shouldn't have the championship. And he's someone who rigs fights. No one will fight him in London. No one will fight him ever again because they'll just lose to him by a decision because of corrupt judges or this and that. And he proved that narrative wrong. He proved that he can crack. He can fight and he can knock people out and he can win fights. Convincingly win fights. And even if it was against someone like 8th ranked, currently 8th ranked, but ranked 6th at the time, DK Money, Kenny still proved us wrong, and it looks like the result is end still. Now, the next fight. And this one kind of hurt to watch, but it was kind of awesome to watch at the same time. I mean, we talk about the Ice Poseidon fight like, oh yeah, I took that gamble and I lost it. It is what it is. But with this one, Greg Hardy beating Hasim Rahman Jr. by 4th round decision, I was fucking shocked. Holy shit. I did not expect Greg Hardy to win this fight. I mean, you could see it in my prediction. Hasim Rahman Jr. by 1st round knockout or technical knockout. Bro. Greg Hardy won every round. Not every round. I think that all the judges, including myself, they all gave Hasim Rahman the 1st round, but every round after that was a Greg Hardy round. Greg Hardy dominated that 2nd round. He got a knockdown in the 3rd round, and then in the 4th round, Hasim's will and spirits were almost completely taken away. And my God, this fight, it was like a spectacle. I mean, Greg Hardy, 0-3 in his last UFC fights, knocked out in highlight reel knockouts, Sergey Spivak, Taito Ivasa, Marcin Tybura, comes back and wins 2 boxing fights in a row. One of them by knockout, and one of them he killed that sort of hype train for Hasim Rahman Jr. And, oh my God, because you guys, I really don't believe this. Greg Hardy weighed in at 320 pounds. Everybody knows that. But despite that, I truly thought Hasim Rahman would get that knockout. I truly believed that. And just watching that whole fight unfold, it was so crazy. I mean, it all started really when Greg Hardy got Hasim back in that corner and then his mouthpiece fell out. So Hasim didn't want to attack, obviously, because he didn't want to lose his teeth or get knocked out. Because when that mouthpiece is out, there's nothing much there to absorb that shock, and there's nothing there to protect your teeth from falling out. So he wasn't attacking, and then all that damage he took and all those blows, and the referee did not see that his mouthpiece fell out. He let it go for like 30 seconds to a minute of that punishment. And then that was the turning point. That was when the whole fight turned around for Hasim. And, you know, after that, Greg Hardy got a clean knockdown. I can't lie. I can't dispute it. That was a pretty damn good knockdown. And it was just his fight from then on. Hasim Rahman Jr. has heart. I mean, crazy heart. But Greg Hardy has vengeance in his blood. He has that determination. He has that thing in his mind that tells him, I have to prove these people wrong. I have to show them that I can still fight that I deserve my spot, and that I am not a laughing stock. That I am a true motherfucker. And my God, he did that. He is next in line for that title also. Heavyweight rankings. Josh Bruckner's the new champion. We're gonna get into that. But Greg Hardy's the number 2 contender, and he is the next guy in line to that belt. Mini Khan is number 4. He beats Mini Khan to that title. He beats Halal Ham to that title. Sam Hyde to that title. Greg Hardy deserves that next title shot. In his boxing career, he's completely unmatched. I mean, he beat some random in some like random promotion. That's gonna happen, you know. But when you beat a top level guy in this crossover boxing scene like Hasim Rahman Jr., that's when you really make a name for yourself. That's when you show the people you can crack. That's when you show the people from the UFC or MMA fans, that's when you show them like, damn, maybe we were wrong about this guy. And that was me, bro. Maybe we were wrong about this Greg Hardy guy. And hey, at least Shannon Briggs is now 1-1 in his coaching career. You know, Greg Hardy, he's saving grace, but you know, it's just insane. And I see people online too. They've been saying like Hasim Rahman Jr. would have destroyed Jake Paul if they ever fought after watching this fight. It's like, are you sure? I think it would have been a tough fight for Jake, for sure. But I don't know. Jake still has a chance, in my opinion. Obviously, Hasim Rahman Jr. also has that chance. And he has crazy heart and crazy endurance to be able to endure all that stuff. All those shots. He has a somewhat impressive chin. Even though he went down once, he didn't get completely slept by a 320-pound guy who was unleashing bombs on his head. It's impressive that he was able to go 4 rounds, but Greg Hardy shows up and shows out. I'm the biggest, I'm the greatest, come show me I'm not. Greg Hardy with the upset win. Now, Josh Bruckner, he wins the fight by, second round TKO, right at the second round while they were about to go into the third round. Chase Delmore's corner completely gave up. They told the referee this guy can't continue, and Josh Bruckner won that fight. Now, you all saw the memes. Oh my God, it's everywhere. But Jesus Christ, you all saw that point in the fight where Chase Delmore just like, I don't know what it was. I need to search up the meme if I can find it. But it was like me throwing punches in my dreams, bro. Everybody's clowning on Chase Delmore for throwing that vicious 4-punch combo right there. You saw it when he was just like slugging and stomping like some drunk dude. Just like 1, 2, 1, 2. I mean, you've all seen it. I don't really need to explain to you. You've all seen it where he just like Chase Delmore like tries to hit him, and then, or no, Josh Bruckner tries to hit him, and then Chase Delmore just like sluggily tries to avoid the punches, and he tried to like sloppily block it with his hands, and I don't know what that was. I was watching it live like, what the fuck did this guy just do? What was that? It was so weird to watch. And if it wasn't evident before, I mean, obviously Josh Bruckner was going to win that fight. There was no way he wasn't going to win that fight. Chase Delmore was kind of fighting like an amateur, just charging and putting this crazy adrenaline rushed pressure. And as the taller guy by like 4 inches or 5 inches, it's pretty easy to do that. But obviously that tired him out. Josh Bruckner was able to stay in the fight, which was good. He was able to show who the real fighter was that night. Question was, does Mini Khan still deserve this title shot? He needs to prove himself more. I feel like he was going to do that in his fight, but he really didn't. And I feel like Greg Hardy should challenge him for this title next. And to me, also, it was sad that Mini Khan was fighting as the first fight. Obviously, in a stacked card, that's just what's going to happen. But Mini Khan deserves better, man. And obviously, Josh Bruckner on the co-main event was able to retrieve the ICB International Heavyweight title. First person to do that, to win a heavyweight title in crossover boxing. Who's next in line? I think Greg Hardy. Does Mini Khan still deserve this title shot? I'm not sure. Maybe I'll make a video discussing this more in depth. But as of right now, Josh Bruckner and New. And moving on to the main event. Now this one it's been the talk of the town. It's been on a lot of people's minds. The Dean the Great and Waleed Sharks war. Now, obviously, Dean the Great won this fight by third round knockout. But it didn't come without controversy. Let me go through this fight. Round 1. Okay, round 1. Close round, but I think Waleed Sharks slightly had the little bit bigger moments. And I think it was slightly won in the round. Obviously, a few judges could give it to Dean the Great, which makes sense. But I had it slightly for Waleed Sharks for 10-9. Then round 2 comes along. And this was the craziest round. In this round, not only did Waleed Sharks knock Dean the Great down twice, but Dean the Great threw it back on Waleed Sharks, and they started dry humping in front of it. Everybody, 1,000 people in front of the Moody Center in Texas. And then the millions watching from home. What? That could be round of the year? Nah, I don't think so. But crazy round. What an insane round. That's 10-7 for Waleed Sharks. 2 crazy, well-timed, well-executed knockdowns. Dean the Great got up from them, but obviously his kind of ego was kind of sort of killed after those 2 knockdowns. You could see it in his face when he was in the corner like, damn, I'm losing this fight and I'm losing this fight badly. How can I come back? And then in the third round, while completely losing this fight and Dean the Great kind of en route to winning that title, and there are 2 titles actually, Dean the Great comes back with this overhand right from hell. Unleashes on Waleed Sharks' left cheekbone. Waleed Sharks is floored, and you can see by the way his head kind of popped back when he hit the... when he sat down on the canvas. I mean, that one shook his brain. That one rattled him. That one completely surprised him too, because it's those punches that you don't see coming that hurt the most. And that was that punch. So for him, you could see it in his eyes like, Jesus fucking Christ, what just happened? Not really what just happened. He knew what just happened, but like, goddamn, how does that guy come back that crazily? And then obviously he got up, but he was still kind of shook from that overhand right. He got up in time, which most of these other people on the card couldn't do. And after that, he just needed a little bit of rest, so he went to a corner and he kind of like put his arms out for a breather. And then right when he turned around, ready to fight, the referee waved it off. And this came with controversy. Because Dean the Great was losing this fight badly. And then the second he gets one knockdown, the referee waves it off. Why? A lot of people online saw it as the referee found a way to give Dean the Great the win, and he took the opportunity. A lot of people think that the fight wasn't fair, that Waleed Sharks should get that rematch. And honestly, I think that rematch is the only fight to make. Like, look, if we go up here and we look at the picture of, it was Dean the Great and FaZe Jarvis standing like in front of each other. It's not on this account or on this page, but it was Dean the Great and FaZe Jarvis facing off. Does FaZe Jarvis deserve that title shot? He would if Waleed Sharks did not exist. But since we're in a universe where Waleed Sharks is alive and well and ready for that rematch, make that rematch happen. Dean the Great versus Waleed Sharks 2. The second rematch in crossover boxing history. That's the fight to make. You guys, have you seen the video? Waleed Sharks and KSI backstage. Waleed Sharks was begging KSI. And I don't mean this disrespectfully. He was just like, man. He was like, KSI, you're my favorite YouTuber ever. And you know I need that rematch. KSI, please, January, I want that rematch. And then JJ told him, I'll get you that rematch, bro. Trust. You want the rematch? I can give it to you. You deserve it. And there's no hype behind FaZe Jarvis versus Dean the Great. You know what there is hype behind, though? Dean the Great versus Waleed Sharks. Everybody wants to see the rematch. And it would make sense. It's not like most rematches where sometimes it's like the first fight was a dominant performance or maybe a knockout, or that's something that leads to the people not wanting to see that rematch, not being interested in it. For example, Usman versus Edwards 2. The first fight was a dominant showing by Usman, and Leon Edwards being on that 10-fight win streak, he still didn't have really that resume or those crazy fights or moments or really too many knockouts either to show that he deserved that title. Obviously, he came back with that win and shocked the world. But, there was not much hype behind that rematch. Dana wanted to give it to Edwards because he felt like he deserved it. He felt like he owed it to Edwards. But the people were not that interested in that fight. Obviously, they're interested in the trilogy now because they're 1-1. But, that was just one instance. With this fight and with the KSI Logan fight, what made people want to see that fight, those rematches, so much? It was the first fight being such a close fight that it was really hard to determine, like, who is the better fighter? Who is better? Obviously, there was a winner, or maybe it was a draw, and that's why, like, it was even more because they want to see a winner. But who is the better fighter is still split amongst fans and viewers. What does that mean? That means we need a rematch, especially since there's no contenders, pretty much zero contenders in their weight class. There was Evil Hero, who Dean the Great already beat, and there's FaZe Jarvis, who has not competed in the Misfits yet, who's 1-0 with a knockout. But the only fight to make is Dean the Great versus Waleed Sharks 2. But hey, that's just me. I think FaZe Jarvis should get one more tune-up fight on the undercard for their rematch. If he puts on a good performance, then he calls out the whoever's the champion or whoever wins those belts at the time, then he challenges them. I think that would be perfect. That's what you got to do in order to build maximum hype and put on the best fights that make the most sense. That's what you got to do. But that's my review. And as of this card and Misfits X the Zone X Series 3, I think this was so far the best X Series card that there's ever been. So far. If you look at it. Okay. Kind of a sluggy fight, but somewhat entertaining to watch anyways. First round knockout. First round knockout. First round knockout. 3 first round knockouts in a row. A crazy upset dominant performance by a 320 pound guy. A kind of sluggy fight, but a weird fight, but it was very entertaining to watch and very entertaining for the memes. And then an absolutely crazy actual technical professional boxing fight. This card has it all. I mean, it's almost perfect. It's incredible how each one of these fights managed to be great. And that's why I'd say Misfits Series 3 has got to be so far the best X Series card ever. And that's saying a lot because the last two were incredible as well. I mean, they were amazing. Right now, I have it Third place, X Series 2. I have a second place, X Series 1. But first place has got to be X Series 3. So far. I mean, we're going to see in January with X Series, what was it? 4? I'm going to make a video about that. Because this video is only about the reviewing the X Series 3 card. But, yeah. What an amazing showing. Amazing performances by all these guys. Incredible fighters. I can't wait to see where crossover boxing goes from here. If I had to give out some like fight of the night, knockout of the night, and performance of the night, let me give out performance of the night. Performance of the night easily goes to Greg Hardy. Had the most dominant performance in this entire card. He got the upset. He proved a lot of people wrong. He gets performance of the night for sure. If I had to pick knockout of the night, I'd have to. I mean, this one's difficult too. It's hard to pick this one because there were so many incredible knockouts. There were 4 knockouts, 5 knockouts on this night. 3 of them in the first round. But if I had to pick one that me personally was the best one, it had to be Face Temper's knockout. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. That's fine. I mean, in a card with so many amazing knockouts, it's hard to pick just one. If I could give a knockout of the night to like to Temper, to Kenny, and to Dean the Great, I would. But if I had to give just one, I'd give it to Face Temper. Not just because it was the fastest, but because it was the biggest kind of rebound, and it was the most shocking, and it was the most devastating as well. Because Overflow, I mean, this is debatable, but Overflow looked the most hurt out of those 3. And like, he didn't know where he was. That's what makes this one so crazy. And the fact that it was in the first 3 seconds just a straight or a jab and a straight left. I mean, that's impressive. And it was shocking too, because there was a lot of people that thought that Overflow would win. But nah, man. It was always Face Temper. A lot of people didn't realize it, but they see it now. And if I had to give fight of the night to someone, I mean, it's no question that it's Dean the Great versus Waleed Sharks. And they gotta run that back. Dean the Great and new, because he won that world super featherweight title. He still got the North American welterweight title. So Dean the Great joins a list of double champions, or he joins a list of world champions as well. He joins KSI and Slim in world champions. He joins Slim in double champ. I mean, very impressive. Very impressive win for him there. The card as a whole, if I had to rate it out of 10, let me think. Nah, I'd have to give it like a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 card. Like, perfect card. Almost perfect. Not completely perfect, but it's just incredible how each one of these fights were able to be so memorable and so good. Like, you can't forget any of these fights, honestly. Maybe you could forget the Minicon fight. You could probably forget that one. But all these fights, even the Josh Bruckner fight, you can't forget these fights. These fights are going to stick in your head for the next few months. That's a fact. I think that's all there is to talk about with this card. These are all... Oops, I did not mean to exit out. But these are all of our winners for the night. And incredible card. I can't wait to see what they have in store for the future.